Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo-O. And super into that tune, man. That thing was awesome. I love that one. It's kind of got that really cool sound going, man. I love it. So I love the different beats. A little bit of hip hop, a little bit of techno at times, a little housey music, you know, just fun style beats, all kinds of stuff. I love it. Anyway, welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo-O. Super glad you could join me today. It is August 16th. We're going to be in Job 32 chapter 33, just in our Morning Devo. And you could always check out the archives where? Over there, right there at Bo Willette on the YouTube channel. And we got the YouTube channel up and running right now, so you could always live stream on the YouTube channel if you're not on the Facebook channel. So we got a couple people in the house already, so God is good. That's right. Good morning, Devo peeps. That's right. Devo stands for devotion, if you don't know. And I put up the Coyotes banner because hockey season will be, the camps will be starting soon, so I'm excited about that. And love my hockey and my hockey players, and just always blessed to be invested in that sport and helping them with understanding this, right? The Bible. So Job, it's really been an interesting book. Now we get a response to Job from a guy named Elihu. Now this is a different guy than the guys that have already spoken. So we've had 3 friends of Job share. And so let's see what this guy Elihu has to say. Now Elihu is going to respond to Job's friends. It says, Job's 3 friends refused to reply further to him because he kept insisting on his innocence. So the idea is that if something happens bad to you, it must be a punishment of God, or in a sense, God's judgment on you because obviously you've done something wrong to offend the deity. Now, this is a common way of thinking in Christianity, especially, but not just Christianity. This kind of is all permeated all throughout different religions in the world. The idea of you reap what you sow, the idea of karma, the idea of if you do this negative, you're going to get negative in return. If you do something positive, positive will happen in return. And this happens all the way in corporate, in business world, this kind of talk, all the way into churches as well. It's not all necessarily bad. It is true. You do reap what you sow. God cannot be mocked. There is a truth to that. But we find that with Job's friends, they said a lot of true statements, but they did not say it in the right context. They did not say it to the right person. And that's interesting to us. So Job's 3 friends refused to share anything more. They felt like Job was wrong and that he would not admit or confess his sin. Ooh, that sounds like a church environment, right? If you just confess your sins, then everything will go good. Wrong again. Then Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite of the clan of Ram, became angry. He was very angry because Job refused to admit that he had sinned and that God was right in punishing him. Let me read that again. So this guy Elihu, he was angry because Job refused to admit that he had sinned and that God was right in punishing him. So you get the idea. You see exactly how everybody's thinking. Oh, you're in the hospital, you're sick, something happened. God's mad at you. Oh, this tragedy happened. It's because of, God's punishing you. That's right. Your sin, you didn't confess, you didn't do the right thing. Boy, do a lot of churches just need to read the book of Job a little bit, right? To help kind of steer us in the right? To start getting back on the right track. Doctrinally, He was so angry with Job's three friends, for they made God appear to be wrong by their inability to answer Job's arguments. So he's mad also at Job's what? Friends, because of their inability to what? Seem like to win the argument with Job. You guys didn't do a good job. Job seems to always be coming back at you guys. Why can't you guys win the argument? So Elihu had waited for the others to speak to Job because they were older than he. But when he saw that they had no further reply, he spoke out angrily. Elihu, son of Barachel the Buzite, said, I am young and you are old, so I held back from telling you what I think. I thought those who are older should speak, for wisdom comes with age. But there is a spirit within people, that the breath of the Almighty within them, that makes them intelligent. Sometimes the elders are not wise. Sometimes the aged do not understand justice. So listen to me, and let me tell you what I think. Oh, man. Ooh, do I let younger people share into my life? Do I let young people feed into me? Or is there like some kind of age thing? Just because they're younger, they don't know. Is that kind of prejudice in my life? Is it in your life? Or will you allow yourself to maybe be wrong? And maybe the younger crew has something to say. And maybe we need to listen to it. You know, Calvary Chapel has a history of, having to listen to the young folk and be like, hey, let me hear you out. With the 60s and the hippies that were coming to Jesus, they wanted to sing songs a certain way. They, different things going on, and those adults, us adults, got a little stiff, right? I don't know. I don't want to. I don't think that's right. Different things like that, when really their hearts were in the right. They really wanted to worship the Lord. They just had a style to do it in, and it was a little different from the traditional styles. Well, let's see what Elihu has to say. He says, I have waited all this time listening very carefully to your arguments, listening to you grope for words. I have listened, but not one of you has refuted Job or answered his arguments. And don't tell me he is too wise for us. Only God can convince him. If Job has been arguing with me, I could not answer with your kind of logic. He says, you sit there baffled with nothing more to say. So he's really on the friends of Job, right? This issue of justice, God being right, God doing the right thing. He says he has listened, right? But not one of them has refuted Job, right? And he says, I've listened to you guys, and you say he's too wise. Only God can convince him, right? But he says, I would not answer with your kind of logic. Have you ever heard someone's logic and then said, hey, I think I need to do it a different way? Sometimes that happens. We hear someone out and we go, I don't like the way they're going about it. I think there's a different way, right? And so Elihu picks up on that, and like a lot of young people, they see maybe something that's a little off, and they go, hey, I think I can make some headway here. And so he tries. He says, you sit there baffled with nothing more to say. Should I continue to wait now that you are more silent? Must I also remain silent? No, I will say my piece. I will speak my mind, for I am full of pent-up words, and the spirit within me urges me on. I am like a cask of wine without a vent, like a new wineskin ready to burst. I must speak to find relief, so let me give my answers. I won't play favorites or try to flatter anyone. If I have tried flattery, my Creator would soon destroy me. It sounds like Elihu saying, hey, I'm more objective than you guys, And sometimes, when you're too close to a situation, sometimes you don't have good objectivity. You're a little clouded. You're muddled by a lot of your feelings, maybe your attachments in a particular relationship. So it's hard for you to see things right in your mind. You're always kind of in a sense, swayed by your emotions. I find that in my life at times where, you're swayed by your emotions, so you really can't see objectively. And then you talk to someone who is looking at things objectively, and they see it cut and dry. They just see it black and white. And you kind of look back and you're like, whoa, man, that is true. God, I wish I could see it that way, but it's because of our emotions are so wrapped up in it. Sometimes we have to go, and I don't know if you find this in your life, but sometimes we have to go to like counseling or go talk to someone who's more objective, just to get a objective opinion, someone who isn't part of that emotional tie, that emotional partnership. And maybe they can sift through some of the stuff, and help us out a little bit. But Elihu seems to think that he is that kind of person. He's really kind of bagged on the older people and said, hey, you guys haven't done a good job. I think I'm going to say my mind. I'm totally filled. I've got so much to say. I'm going to go do it. And that's how it is. Sometimes the young generation is so filled with what to do, it just bursts right out of them, right? It finally just overflows for the good or for the not so good, for the bad, right? Yeah, you guys see that. So, okay, that's Job 32. We see some cool things there. We see Elihu. We see his, not thinking too well of the friends of Job. But he also, it says, he was angry because Job refused to admit that he had sinned and that God was right in punishing him. So, he's kind of mad at Job too. So chapter 33 says, listen to my words, Job. So this is at Job. Pay attention to what I have to say. Now that I have begun to speak, let me continue. I speak with all sincerity. I speak in truth. For the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Does it sound good? Absolutely, man. Does that sound like a good Christian thing to say? Absolutely, man. Who wouldn't want to say that, right? The Spirit of God has made me. The breath of the Almighty gives me life. Amen, amen. Go, brother. It says, answer me if you can. Make your case and take your stand. Answer me, buddy. Let's see. Look, you and I both belong to God. I too was formed from clay, so you don't need to be afraid of me. I won't come down hard on you. Hey, you know what? I'm not going to come down hard on you, Job. Me and you both are in the same boat. We've both been created by God. Now, I kind of love the kind of common denominator, that Elihu gives out. It's this idea that we're both on the same page. We're both really in the same ship, in the same boat. Do you come along people and when you start talking to them, do you talk that way? Hey, I'm not talking down at you. We're both in the same kind of boat, man. We both need God. We both need God's grace. Or do you talk at people like Adam? Do you, like Job's friends, you talk, you're getting it, and you're talking down, condescending, speaking down, not to them, not like you're a co-laborer with them, maybe, or a co-human. How about that? Co-human being. But instead, you just speak down at people, and you think you got it all together, and that can be a real problem. But Elihu seems to be doing it right. Hey, we're on common ground. We both have been created by God. He says, you don't need to be afraid of me. I'm not going to come down hard on you. You have spoken in my hearing, and I have heard your very words. You said, I am pure and I'm without sin. I am innocent. I have no guilt. God is picking a quarrel with me, and he considers me his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks and watches my every move. So he's kind of repeating things that Job has kind of mentioned. But you are wrong, and I will show you why. For God is greater than any human being. So why are you bringing a charge against him? Hey, why are you charging God with wrong? You can't charge God with wrong, right? There's this idea that God can do what? No wrong. Isn't that interesting? All the way back in Job, right? Years and years ago. You can't bring a charge against God. Why say he does not respond to people's complaints? For God speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. Whoa, interesting. God speaks again and again, but yet people are blinded. Isn't that an interesting thing? Maybe it's not that God's distance is that he hasn't revealed himself. You know, what seems like God's distance is a problem with us. Maybe the distance that we sense between us and God is a problem with the way we are, not with God. God is the perfect. We are the ones that got the problem. Maybe we don't have the right eyes to see, the right heart, right? The mind to listen and to pay attention. It's interesting that Jesus says, "Seek and you shall find," but maybe we just don't seek. Maybe we're just going after what we want in life, ourself. Maybe. And he says, "For God speaks again and again." This is verse, by the way, this is verse 14. God speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. He speaks in dreams and visions of the night when deep sleep falls on people as they lie in their beds. Whoa, sounds like dreams. And it says, he whispers in their ear and terrifies them with warnings. He makes them turn from doing wrong. He keeps them from pride. Sounds very much like a conscience. You know, your conscience, that thing's in you that constantly saying, hey, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, don't do that. You know, that kind of idea. And it says he protects them from the grave, from crossing over the river of death. It's this idea of going, hey, you know, don't go that direction. That bridge is going to give out. Don't go that voice, right? That conscious voice that's in you. So Elihu picks up on that God speaks to us, but it's in ways that a lot of times we're not thinking that it's God's ways that are speaking to us. Or God disciplines people with pain on their sick beds, with ceaseless achings in their bones. They lose their appetite for even the most delicious food. Hey, God disciplines people by putting them in the sick bed, by having their bones ache, things like that. And I know what that's like. I've seen my mom go through bone cancer. Not fun. Their flesh melt away, right? And their bones stick out. 21. And 22 says, they are at death's door. The angel of death awaits for them. But if an angel from heaven appears, a special messenger to intercede for a person and declare that he is upright, he will be gracious and say, rescue him from the grave, for I have found a ransom for his life. Then his body will become as healthy as a child's, firm and youthful again. Hey, if we can just have a redeemer, someone to come on the scene and redeem us from this problem that we have, this body of death, this body of decay, if we can get someone to help us get out of this pit of death that we're in, man, wouldn't that be awesome? God would be certainly on your side. Hey, this morning, can't we thank the Father for Jesus, who was raised from the dead, who shows that he is on your side, man. God is on your side. He has conquered death for you and I. God is for you. And I think that was one of those things that hit me at some point when I was 17, 18 years old in Los Angeles area, of going, oh my gosh, God loved me. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Oh man, that whoever believes in him would not perish but have everlasting life. We do have a Redeemer. We can thank God for that. And he says, then his body will become as healthy as a child's, as firm as a youth and youthful again. When he prays to God, he will be accepted, and God will receive him with joy and restore him to good standings. He will declare to his friends, I sinned and twisted the truth, but it was not worth it. God rescued me from the grave, and now my life is filled with light. Yes, God does these things again and again for people. He rescues them from the grave so that they may enjoy the light of life. Mark this well, Job. Listen to me, for I have more to say. But if I have anything to say, go ahead. If you have anything to say, go ahead and speak, for I am anxious to see you justified. But if not, then listen to me, keep silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Interesting. So Elihu seems to be going down this path that God does speak to us. Job, you keep complaining that God's not saying anything. God's distant, but God's always in our life. God's always speaking to us. Have you ever said that to someone when someone says, hey, brother, hey, sister, like, man, God's nowhere to be found. And you go, man, he's right there, bro. He's right there. And you try to encourage them that God's not far, but he's right there. It seems like Elihu does that, right? He talks about God helping people on their sick bed, also disciplining people on their sick bed. And he talks about God's different interactions with us. And it seems like Elihu's doing okay, and he's trying to help Job see that God isn't that far. He's right there, Job. He's involved. Now this helps me out and I'll say this at the very end of the devotion, is that maybe today, what I need to do is just help people that are grieving and that are sad and have suffered extreme loss, just to let them know that God has a purpose and a plan and God's involved. And maybe that's what Elihu is getting at. Is, you know what, we're all in the same boat. We've all been created by God, and God has a way of getting our attention, speaking to us, and it might be in subtle ways, but he's always there, and he's always sharing, and he's always helping us in our life, and even disciplining us as a father, as the book of Job, that comes out of the book of Job, right? That God disciplines those he loves, that kind of idea. But he is present. He is there. And sometimes that's what we need when we're going through depression and sadness and grief, is just to know that God is present. That's it. And maybe that's all that's needed, is just to know that God is near us and that his comfort is what we need through the difficult season of life, right? Just his presence, knowing that his eyes are with me. He's on me. He's looking at me. He sees my pain. He sees my struggle. And he's right there with me. This is the beauty of Jesus, right? He's our faithful high priest. He's the one who bore our sin. He knows what we're going through. He knows everything you and I go through. The trials, the temptations, the struggles, the suffering. He has gone through it, so he can sympathize with us. Thank you so much for Jesus, right? Awesome. Jesus is amazing. So what a cool Devo, and great chapter. Laura says, I had to go to counseling to allow a Christian counselor to open my eyes to what choices I made throughout my life that I didn't realize I was making. I thought I was doing what was honoring to God, but instead I wasn't giving God control of every area of my life. That's great. See how sometimes that kind of counsel can really help us out to see things better objectively. I too have gone to counselors just to talk to them, get different, ideas, different thoughts. And it's good. It's very good for us to do that, to get something very objective. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. And, tomorrow we'll try to rip through Elihu's kind of further remarks. We still got a few chapters of Elihu, but we'll try to get through them and see how it flows, okay? So you guys take care, okay? Have a great day, and we'll catch you later, okay? Bye-bye.